Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, will be welcoming a lot of people in November. The international community will be meeting here on the 12th, the 13th and the 14th of November for the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the ICPD, the International Conference on Population and Development. In Cairo, in September 1994, 176 heads of state and government adopted a program of action to provide comprehensive reproductive health care to populations, including voluntary family planning, safe pregnancies and childbirth services, and prevention and treatment of sexually transmitted infections. The goal was to reduce maternal death, eliminate violence against women and girls, put an end to harmful practices against women and girls, and to eliminate unmet need in family planning in order to move forward on gender equality. Commenting on an event to discuss the solutions to end violence against women and girls, the UN General Secretary, Antonio Guterres, reminded us that it is a question of fundamental human rights.
At its core, violence against women and girls in all its forms is the manifestation of a profound lack of respect, a failure by men to recognize the inherent equality and dignity of women. It is an issue of fundamental human rights. The violence can take many forms, from domestic violence to trafficking, from sexual violence in conflict to child marriage, genital mutilation and femicide. Forms, from domestic violence to trafficking, from sexual violence in conflict to child marriage, genital mutilation and femicide. It is an issue that harms the individual, but also has far-reaching consequences for families and for the society. With orange as the unifying color of solidarity, the hashtag #YearMeToo is designed to send a clear message. Violence against women and girls must end now, and we all have a role to play. We need to do more.
To do more, that is exactly the goal of the ICPD, which has as a theme to accelerate the promise. Today, the world is striving to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, and universal sexual and reproductive health is at the heart of most of the goals that relate to safety, health and well-being, ending poverty, establishing gender equality, and building sustainable communities, among many other goals. In Western and Central Africa, several indicators show that a lot of effort still needs to be done if the continent should meet the three transformative indicators: zero unmet need in family planning, zero avoidable maternal death, zero gender-based violence, and an end to harmful practices such as child marriage and female genital mutilation. Promises from the ICPD, the International Conference on Population and Development. In the region, the UNFPA works with several partners with the objective of meeting these goals. Among these partners are youth, religious leaders, traditional communicators, traditional leaders, and first ladies.
Le premier appel, je le lance à tous les hommes nigériens.
The first call I make is to all the men of Niger to commit to the 3 M's. The 3 M's meaning minimize maternal mortality. To die while giving birth is social unfairness. We no longer want that in Niger. The second call I make is to our partners in Niger to support the government's efforts to mobilize resources in favor of maternal and neonatal health. In November 2019, governments, advocates, health organizations, women and youth activists, and many others will gather in Kenya for the Nairobi Summit to demand clear commitments that will advance the goals of the ICPD on the one hand, and allow everyone to live with dignity and realize their rights on the other hand. On the eve of this event, Mabinge Ngom, the United Nations Population Fund Regional Director for Western and Central Africa, gave us an update on the implementation of the ICPD Programme of Action in this African sub-region.
Madame, mademoiselle, monsieur, bonsoir.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show Population d'Afrique. And tonight I'm receiving Mr. Mabingengom. Good evening.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
There are only a few days left before the opening of the International Conference on Population and Development, which is taking place from 12 to 14 November in Nairobi. What is the particularity of this conference?
Je voudrais d'abord vous remercier.
Thank you very much. If you remember, in September 1994, 176 head of states and government met in Cairo, Egypt, to set up an ambitious action program that we called CAIRO Action Program, whose objective was to make people's living conditions throughout the world better. And that was in regards with the maternal mortality reduction, which was extremely high at that time, but also to provide family planning options to women wherever they are in the world, as this is very important for the reduction of maternal mortality.
Principalement pour s'occuper des questions de mortalité maternelle qui affichaient des taux extrêmement élevés à l'époque.
Also, the head of states and governments and all the international community firmly decided to promote a universal access to comprehensive reproductive health facilities to everyone. That was an agenda for development, laws and human rights to allow everyone to have access to all rights in terms of good sexual reproduction conditions, rights without which it would be quite impossible to have fair, equal and developed societies.
Mais également d'avoir des sociétés développées.
Today, what evaluation can you make of the agenda of the ICPD implementation?
J'aurais une appréciation mitigée.
I would say a mixed appreciation. In fact, we made a lot of progress in terms of human conditions. However, there are still a lot of challenges existing, whose solving would allow avoiding the current suffering of millions of people throughout the world today.
Qui persiste et dont la résolution pourrait permettre un peu à des millions de personnes à travers le monde d'éviter les souffrances auxquelles elles font face aujourd'hui. Nous avons, par exemple,
for example, we have succeeded in reducing maternal mortality up to 40%, which is very important because we're speaking about human lives saved. And we have also succeeded in increasing family planning care up to 25%, which is important regarding women's access to these services, which are crucial today. Because, as you know, access to family planning is the best way to decrease maternal mortality, as it reduces it to 1/3. So if we make efforts up to 25%, the impact of reducing maternal mortality will be observable.
Donc des efforts de réduction de la mortalité maternelle. Donc l'accès à la planification familiale réduit d'un tiers la mortalité maternelle. Donc si nous faisons donc des efforts donc de 25%, l'impact sur la mortalité maternelle se fait sentir. La troisième chose que je dois dire,
the third thing is that gender-based violence reduction has also known effective progress because regarding early marriage, for example, in this part of the world, we have made progress of up to 10 points, which is very important. However, if you look closely, you realize that there are many other important challenges to be taken. For example, if you take countries like Sierra Leone, maternal mortality is still above 1,000. In Liberia and Central African Republic, where we are in a level 10 times higher than the 75 maternal deaths for each 100,000 deliveries that we agreed on being the threshold for everybody in the 1994 CAIRO conference.
Lors de la conférence du Caire de 1994.
As you say, there are many challenges, so tell me, in West and Central Africa, what type of problem have you been confronted with while implementing that agenda of the ICPD?
Mais je dirais que ce sont des défis multiformes. Ils ne sont pas j'allais dire un peu les mêmes.
There are diverse problems and challenges depending on the countries, I can say.
Nous avons un peu le défi qui aujourd'hui, à mon avis,
but I am going to list some of them. The first one is the problem of commitment of all the stakeholders to move forward in the same direction.
Les parties prenantes, donc pour aller ensemble dans la même direction. Un deuxième défi porte sur
the second challenge is the commitment of some actors whose role is of a paramount importance, but who have not enough caught our attention recently.
L'attention qui était nécessaire, je pense notamment aux leaders religieux, je pense notamment aux jeunes.
And I am thinking of the religious leaders and youth who are the actors that should bear these changes, the members of parliament, the researchers who have an important role in identifying mainly approaches and methods capable of bringing good results as well as their massification.
Des méthodes, des approches porteuses et leur amplification.
Nous avons suivi, M. Ngom, avec beaucoup d'intérêt l'effort de
We followed, Mr. Ngom, with a lot of interest all the sensitizing and communication efforts you made towards African institutions, religious leaders, and youth and women leagues. What has been the output?
Qu'est-ce que vous avez obtenu?
Oui, je dois dire que ces dernières années, nous avons déployé beaucoup d'efforts pour
over the past years, we have made a lot of efforts to mobilize community leaders in the countries, sub-regions and regions for them to get involved in the WCARO agenda.
Des leaders au niveau des régions et des sous-régions pour faire en sorte que ces leaders puissent se mobiliser pour l'agenda du CAIR.
We have gone far with these leaders, and I think that today they are not only committed, but they are leading this WCARO agenda by making it theirs.
Mais ils portent eux-mêmes l'agenda du CAIR. Ils se sont appropriés de l'agenda du CAIR, et c'est avec fierté que j'ai vu certains de ces leaders, comme l'émir de Kano, parler de questions de dividendes démographiques.
And it's with a lot of pride that I have noted that one of them, the Emir of Kano, speaking about the demographic dividend through a PowerPoint presentation in front of President Buhari. We attended also another similar situation with the Burunaba in Burkina Faso, where some traditional leaders such as El Hajj Mansour Mbaye from Senegal or in Guinea made an advocacy about these questions with a lot of determination to convince these communities in a way we couldn't do it with our own methods.
C'est important de la société que nous n'avons pas été capables de toucher avec nos méthodes passées. Donc aujourd'hui, nous avons une mobilisation.
And today we have a mobilization, an appropriation, and a commitment, and in a word, a strong leadership from them whose voice is heard by the communities who are concerned by the WCARO agenda.
Au niveau des communautés où l'agenda du CAIR doit se jouer.
Alors, cette mobilisation
This African mobilization has been noticed by the international community, and some studies consider the African demography almost as a threat, while in your community some consider it as an opportunity. You spoke about the demographic dividend. Can you tell us more about that?
Vous nous en dire un peu plus?
Je dis très souvent que nous n'allons pas réaliser donc le pari de l'Afrique que nous voulons.
I often say that we won't achieve the Africa we want to build by the horizon 2063 without the demographic dividend. And I would say that we cannot achieve the 2030 agenda, which is prosperity for all, as we say it in the United Nations, not to leave anyone aside without the demographic dividend.
Qu'il faut d'ailleurs banaliser. Il s'agit simplement de construire donc des sociétés où les familles ont la possibilité de faire face aux besoins de leurs proches.
It's a simple concept that can be trivialized, which merely means to build families where people will be able to support their needs as well as their family needs. It's about building cities, communes and regions capable of having population structures which aren't cumbersome in terms of investment and are favorable to what I consider as the social demand satisfaction.
Prise en compte satisfaisante de la demande sociale, des sociétés où la structure de la population est également plus favorable donc à l'épargne et à l'investissement dont nous avons besoin pour améliorer les conditions de vie des populations.
It's about societies which are favorable of sparing and investment needed to improve the population's living conditions. And today, this concept is appropriated by the highest authorities of the African continent. And I have to tell you with a high level of satisfaction that today in all societies and far-reaching communities within the African countries, that people are still discussing this issue of demographic dividend. And visible and concrete actions are being made to capture the demographic dividend here in sub-Saharan Africa, and mainly in this West and Central African region, where the demographic issue is one of the most terrific for populations, countries and institutions and partners who accompany them in their development efforts.
Pour les institutions et les partenaires qui les accompagnent dans leurs efforts de développement.
What are the fields in which you have noticed strong leaps forward concerning the demographic dividend?
Je peux dire aujourd'hui que dans la sous-région Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre, où nous avons 23 pays,
I can say today that in the Central and West sub-region Africa, where we have 23 countries from Mauritania to Central African Republic, in each of these countries the African Union Roadmap is launched, except in Central African Republic, where we're still working on how to help this country launch also its demographic dividend roadmap.
Je peux également dire que dans chacun des pays, à l'exception du Liberia,
I can also say that in all countries except Liberia, we have defined a demographic dividend profile through an inclusive approach supported by the Liberian nationals, which is essential in showing the way to take, defining the actions, and mobilizing the communities to go together towards capturing the demographic dividend.
Les actions, mais également commencer à mobiliser les uns et les autres pour aller résolument vers la capture du dividende démographique. Je peux également dire qu'au moment où je parle,
additionally, I can say that we have set up demographic dividend observatories in 9 countries in order to monitor this important project.
C'est un important chantier. Nous avons également, à travers nos engagements avec certains acteurs extrêmement importants,
we also have some important commitments through other external actors like the First Ladies, the religious leaders, and communication actors to define together approaches and roadmaps which are being implemented to sustain resources and political mobilization to support actions for the coordination of ongoing initiatives.
Pour soutenir un peu toutes les actions qui doivent être coordonnées et qui doivent mener vers l'amplification des efforts actuellement en cours. Donc, je peux dire que nous sommes
with concrete initiatives, I think we are in the right direction for Africa to capture the demographic dividend and obtain additional resources that can generate at least $500 billion every year, at least for the next 30 years, which is absolutely a huge opportunity to invest in the African continent through our own resources.
Du continent à travers des ressources propres.
Alors, nonobstant
despite the support of governments, you have all the financial support from all the public and private institutions.
Je crois que je pense notamment à des partenaires comme la Banque mondiale, l'Union européenne.
Partners like the World Bank and the European Union, northern countries and other European countries like France, Italy, etc., support the countries in this project of capturing the demographic dividend.
Les pays dans la réalisation de cet agenda de capture du dividende démographique. Mais je voudrais insister sur les efforts des pays eux-mêmes
But I would like to insist on the efforts of the countries themselves as they went up to borrowing from the World Bank in order to finance that demographic dividend.
Ce dossier du dividende démographique qui est leur aspiration. Et je dois d'ailleurs signaler que la liste.
I have to mention that there are so many countries who are now going to the World Bank to join that SWED initiative.
Du SWED, elle s'allonge. Et mieux, lorsque nous sommes réunis à Accra en octobre 2018,
when we met in Accra in October 2018, the first thing that the 54 African countries asked was the extension of the SWED project to all the countries in order to allow them to have means to finance the demographic dividend and meet the expectations of the African Union head of states and government in 2017.
Et de gouvernement de l'Union africaine en 2017.
Many observers agree that the demographic dividend will be in the heart of discussion during the International Conference on Population and Development in Nairobi. What are your expectations?
Je crois que je serais surpris de voir un peu cette question.
I think I'll be surprised if this point isn't put in the forefront of the talks during the Nairobi conference. This conference is held just 2 years after the launching of the roadmap by all the heads of states and government of the African Union. And like I said a while ago, the countries have individually launched the roadmap.
Les pays ont individuellement lancé la feuille de route. Et mieux, dans pratiquement tous les pays, il y a des actions concrètes.
And I can say that in all the countries, some visible and concrete initiatives are being undertaken regarding the implementation of the roadmap towards the capturing of the demographic dividend. And many countries are currently asking to the international community, such as the World Bank and others, to be accompanied in reinforcing these operations to accelerate growth in the continent.
Pour que nous puissions renforcer notre accompagnement pour la réalisation de ces opérations, pour faire en sorte que nous puissions accélérer les progrès dans le continent. Et je crois également qu'avec l'agenda 2030, ne laissez personne derrière.
I think that in the 2030 agenda, on which everybody agrees that it's an integrated agenda, there is no doubt that maternal and child health, economic growth, peace, security and stability can no longer be dissociated from each other. And the demographic dividend is offering us a magic opportunity to face the numerous challenges the African continent is facing and which are affecting the neighborhood, and whose solutions to reverse the trend is the demographic dividend.
De faire face aux nombreux défis auxquels le continent africain est confronté.
So I'm expecting that in the Nairobi conference, the African Union and all its partners will work on that question and accelerate its realization in sub-Saharan Africa.
Sa réalisation en Afrique au sud du Sahara.
That was the end of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching us. See you soon on Population d'Afrique.